We call them automatic ejectors in the United States. I know in England they call them ejectors. Either way, they're a very nice option on a gun. They always need to work right. They need to be timed and pop out together. Let's check and see how this one works.
Okay.
And then you can explain to us how to adjust them if they aren't in order.
Well, that works.
I think those are timed just about right.
That works pretty good.
Well, why don't you tell us how to fix it?
This gun has the Southgate system of ejection, and it's a very simple ejector system. It consists of only three parts on either side. You've got the kicker, the spring, and the pin, the axis pin that the kicker rotates on. It's very simple. It's the system that you'll come across the most, I think. There we are, take the fore-end wood out. And there we are, we've got two springs for the right and the left, and we've got two kickers, right and left, which hinge on a pin that goes right through the knuckle. Very simple, very dependable. Now to disassemble it, all you need to do is tap the back of the kicker. Here is the kicker. There we go. Take the springs out. Some of these are hard to remove. There we go. Whatever you do, don't let the spring fly like that, because one, it's likely to injure you, or it'll end over on the side of the workshop where you can't find it, or sometimes if they're let fly, they'll break. Usually they come out much easier than this, but the reason these are, I've had trouble getting these out because they've never been out in all the years the gun's been made. There we are, there's the second one out. Two springs.
Are these going to be marked right and left?
They should be. Somewhere there is a mark on them, either on the side. There's so much old grease on them that it's gone hard. I can't find the mark. But in any case, the way to tell with these is the way these ends are radiused.
Mm-hmm.
But as I say, this thing's never been apart in all the years it's been made, by the looks of it. And the next thing is knock out the pin that holds the kickers. Right. There's the axis pin, just a straight pin, and there we are, two ejector kickers, right and the left. You can't get them in the wrong holes, and as you can see, they're rather mucky. And that's it.
And these are the camming surfaces right here.
That's correct.
And why don't you explain how the Southgate ejector works for us here, Jack, if you would.
Yes, when the ejector system is cocked and the kicker is pushed back, one of the angles on the one end of the spring is resting on the back of the kicker. Now, when you fire the gun, the little portion on the inside edge of the cocking lever positions itself against this little corner here, this little projection here, and as you open the gun, it pushes that little projection there and turns the kicker forward and pushes it off its seating on the spring. The spring then, as soon as it passes the corner on the spring, just there, when it passes the corner on the kicker, the spring reasserts itself, and then it pushes the kicker forward. The kicker moves forward, and the nose of the kicker contacts the end of the extractor, whichever side it's on, contacts the end of the extractor, hitting the end of the extractor, knocking it forward, and ejecting the cartridge case. And that's basically how it works. After it's fired, there's a little piece here on the knuckle of the action called a cam. The cam, as you close the gun, the cam forces back the ejector kicker, rides down the front of the ejector kicker, pushing it back, and it cocks it again on the spring. The spring rides up the back of the kicker to where it was before, and then the cam, having done its work, rests in this little groove at the bottom of the ejector kicker. The ejector system is then cocked, ready for the next shot, the next ejection, I should say. It's a very simple system, but it's not. It takes a lot of explaining. It's not easy to explain exactly how all of it works.
Now, that's a pretty good explanation of how the Southgate ejector system works, Jack. Why don't you tell us how you would adjust it if it's braking early or braking late?
Certainly. If the ejection is too early, then we would remove metal from this front angled surface here. If it's too late, we would remove metal from this surface here. The idea is to remove this corner here between the two angles further back.
Move it back.
That's
if
correct.
It's ejecting too early.
Well, in actual fact, what we would do, we'd move it back if it's ejecting too early, and we'd move it forward if it was ejecting too late.
And the amount of metal we're talking about is just a couple of thousandths at a time.
It's only a small amount,
just
a very small amount. Because if you remove metal from the front surface, it allows that part of the spring to move further up the back of the ejection kicker. If you remove it off the other side, it means that the ejector kicker comes off that corner, reaches that corner sooner, and ejects sooner.
So we're just simply adjusting the location of that cam ever so little
that
to
corner,
bring it into
yes,
perfect time.
That's correct.
Okay.
And it's the only adjustment you use. You don't adjust on the back of the ejector kicker or on the extension piece on the cocking lever that works this. You don't mess with that or the back of the kicker. Always adjust on the spring. And the reason for that is, if you ruin a spring, it's easier to replace a spring than it is, and cheaper than replacing a kicker or even a cocking lever. This little projection here on the cocking lever, when the gun is fired and the gun is opened, presses on this little projection on the bottom of the ejector kicker, pushing it, moving it forward, and off its seating on the spring, just like that. And then after it reaches a certain point, just there, the spring takes over and pushes this kicker forward. The end of the kicker here, the nose of the kicker here, hits the end of the extractor, knocking the extractor forward, ejecting the case.